I walk through the shadow of death left to fear. This is a journey through the halls of hell.
Yes people, what is good? I am BA, back once again with another reaction in the Game of Thrones series. This is episode 9 of season 4 and it is called Watchers on the Wall. Let's check it out and see what it's saying to it. I'm surprised we didn't instantly start back with Oberyn and the fallout of Tyrion's loss at the trial by combat. I'm itching to get back to that storyline. Seriously, what a view. I'm sure the cold is colder than I imagine it, and the wind would be windier than I imagine it, but to me, getting to do the job of watchman on top of the walls sounds so chilled, relaxing, and the view would be amazing.
I shall take no wife. Yes, that's in there. I shall father no children. It's very specific. I
agree with Sam. If the Night's Watch want to have such strict rules, they better be as specific as they intend the rules to be. Otherwise, people will be like, okay, it's cool still to go and have sex, just not marry anyone.
They've already done the worst thing to me they could ever do.
That's right, Sam still hasn't had any word from Molestown yet as to whether Gilly's alive or dead or anything. I say this every time I see warging, but it is such a cool power. I think I'd rather actually be able to warg than be able to see the past and the future like Bran can later on. That's too much of a burden on you mentally and wanting to change things that have happened, etc. Whereas warging is just dope, like you get to go be an eagle for a bit.
She was no ordinary beast. Benny's the man with a...
I know you never fucked a bear.
He might have fucked a bear.
All I want to think about is each one of these arrows fanning its way into a crow's heart.
You know what's interesting? I watched this actress's audition tape for this role on YouTube recently and she chose a really posh English accent when auditioning. So I don't know if that was a point where they hadn't decided on the accent of wildlings yet or if just she at the audition wasn't aware the wildlings were supposed to be more northern and wild. But yeah, she showed up to the audition talking like the Queen of England.
Know what I think you do when you see him? Serve him up a nice juicy slice of ginger minge.
As a resident of Great Britain, I am so proud that the term ginger minge made it into the biggest TV show of all time.
Be wasting candles to read in the middle of the night.
In Sam's defense, it's never a waste of candles to let him read anything. He will remember that shit and applicate it at some point in the future to a helpful use.
But what he says, it's all true.
Imagine the stories wildlings tell about us.
Good point, they've probably both got their own share of horror stories they tell their citizens.
The girl you love. Heard it in your voice when you first brought her to me.
Master Aemond is so wise. You can't slip anything by this guy.
Some of them were quite forward to win my affections.
Yeah, anyone who's a prince, especially in these times, would have had their pick of women. Maester Aemond has definitely lived a life.
Nothing makes the past a sweeter place to visit than the prospect of imminent death.
Wow, what a great quote that is. That's probably why your brain makes your whole life flash before your eyes when you die, just to get that last memory of everything in one last time.
Strict orders to not open the gate. Oh, Pip, open the fucking gate!
Yeah, when Sam speaks to you like that, you do exactly what he says.
Are you alright?
This is the only time I'll say this, but thank God Gilly had a rough upbringing, because that's the only thing that saved her life in Molestown, being wise to it all.
It's time.
Such a great advantage to have a warg as your scout. Fucking hell, how big was the ox that horn came off? And there's the fire, as promised.
Pick up the pace! Come on!
Who the fuck is this guy telling anybody to pick up the pace? Oh, please, put him in a catapult and launch him into the wildlings.
If he starts second-guessing himself, that's the end. For him.
Ah, that's one way of looking at it, but also if a leader never listens to any of his advisors, then what the fuck is the point of having advisors? And I know Jon Snow's role technically isn't an advisor, but he was north of the wall, saw that shit firsthand, he's a Night's Watch, you know, that guy should be listening to people like that. That's why you're now starring in things like The Rig Thorn, and Kit Harington's went on to star in things like... Kit Harington still stars in things sometimes.
You won't matter up there, you will down here.
I am a man of the Night's Watch, Gilly.
In this situation, Sam has to fight alongside his brothers. I do not like the idea of Sam hiding down here with Gilly while John and all those other guys risk their lives. Sam has to be out there. They are his brothers. They would die for him. He has to be ready to die for them.
I promise you, I won't die.
And in a crazier world as Game of Thrones, Sam went on to keep that promise. Well done, Sam. That is fucking impressive, my man.
There's no place for me to be. You're not afraid?
Procrastination is probably the worst thing you could ever do pre-fight or pre-battle.
When you're nothing at all, there's no more reason to be afraid.
But you're afraid now?
Yes, well...
It's nice to hear Sam say that. It shows just how worthless he must have felt inside after being ostracised from his family, etc. So while I joke about it, you know, Gilly's done way more for him than just, you know, he's interested in girls. She's made him feel like a human being again and given him a reason to live and given him a reason to want to fight, to survive.
Let's kill some crows!
There's been so much animal cruelty in this show so far, I'm unsure as to whether or not they're actually talking about the Night's Watch. This next scene might just be a brutal shotgunning of birds' nests. Oh shit, you know it's serious when there's giants riding mammoths out here. And I love the way they do the giant effects in this show, just enlarge the guy in a suit rather than make it a 3D object. That's a terrifying army. Even to have 1 or 2 giants on your side is just absolutely frightening.
I said knock and hole, you cunts!
I think during this battle you start to warm to Thorn a little bit. Oh shit, this is tense. Tormund leading the charge. I can't believe they end up turning that fucking absolute barbarian of a man into the comedic romantic side character by season 8. And I still love him just as much. Usually that would be a terrible, terrible decision for the character, but it worked so well for Tormund. Guy at the front had a really interesting last few seconds of life. Really good special effects on the arrows shooting there as well. It legitimately looked like arrows were being fired. Maybe it was, and that's how they did that effect.
Sam? Yeah? I think we're gonna die.
Are you still procrastinating, Pip? Fucking hell, bro. Grab a weapon. Focus on the task at hand. That is the best way to not die. Although, to be fair, if I saw Tormund climbing up a rope at me, I'd have probably have said the same thing.
Castle Black will stand! The Night's Watch will stand!
Do you know what I mean? Thorn is showing a bit of bravery, a bit of leadership. He's showing some good qualities in this fight. He's a piece of shit, but just like everyone in this show, they have good sides. He's fucking borderline heroic in this scene. Thank God Sam and Pip got the fuck out of there.
Do you think your cold roll steel's gonna stop them?
No such thing as giants.
This guy is a fucking asshole. Please throw him off the wall. No such thing as giants. Bro, look down. Or go down. And look up.
Archers! Knock your arrow!
And John showing in that moment, he's instantly at least as good of a leader as Thorn, and much better than that King's Landing dickhead who was momentarily in charge. I'm trying to think as well if there's been a bigger budget looking episode thus far in the entire show, and I would say probably not. Holy shit. Probably the most devastating arrow shot of all time, considering it looks like the ammo which is later used for the anti-dragon scorpion weapon. I can't even imagine the level of pain that you would feel getting a battle axe into the side of your body or ribcage area, being swung by a guy like that. Welcome to Hell's Kitchen. What a fucking coward. On top of all these other unlikable traits, he's an absolute coward. It's where he belongs. Now I feel like that room isn't even good enough for Gilly if she's sharing it with him, because she's 10 times the survivalist and fighter that guy is. Rest in peace, Pip, but also Ygritte is just on an unnecessarily brutal rampage. She's just not going after Jon. She wants to murder any Night's Watch she can because she associates them with him. Because I get that this is the Wildlings' desperate attempt to get over the wall and head south before the army of the dead reach them. What I don't get is why they didn't pick an unmanned part of the wall and just cross it and breach it with stealth and move north passively until they were attacked. Yeah, the fact they used real humans and just enlarged the images possibly makes these the best giants I've ever seen on screen. They look 50 million times better than Steven Spielberg's BFG did, for example. Well, fuck getting punched in the face off that dude. This mammoth's having a pretty crazy day as well. Must be quite the change from just, you know, walking here and there and eating a leaf. The fact Tormund hasn't killed him in the first 2 seconds shows Thorne must be a pretty decent fighter. I mean, he mortally wounded him in about a minute, but still, it wasn't a bad showing. Oh man, that sucks. Pip had a fucking shit life. Wrongly accused by some lord, sent to the wall, never to be with a woman, then shot through the neck by one. Head by head, Sam is slowly racking up his own little body count in this show.
And when we give a signal, bring us back down. Do you hear me?
It's an interesting armour that Ollie's wearing. It almost looks like the sort of sheet metal roof she get. Such a cool weapon. I think it's such a funny detail that the giant runs after his mammoth. It's like someone has left their handbrake off in their car or something. I can't even call that guy an idiot, man. You know, everybody's panicking, it's night time. It must have been tough for things like that not to happen during battles.
If they try the mammoths again, drop fire on them. If the climbers get too high, drop the scythe on them.
Oh shit, the scythe. I forgot about that weapon.
Light the fuckers up! No! No!
Again, he makes a great leader. 3 out of 4 ain't bad. The only one to let the team down was the King's Landing guy.
Sword in the darkness. I am the watcher on the walls. I am the shield.
Oh, it's fucking absolutely epic. I'd be ready to die saying this speech. Yes! Jon instantly doing a ninja roll into the fight. That was a great camera shot panning from Jon across the Ygritte, showing how close she's getting to him on the battlefield. And then over to Sam. Wow, that was an amazing camera shot, you know. Yes. Oh. The dire wolves are the most gangster things of all time. I fucking love them. Oh, here we go. Mini boss fight. That was some really good tight swordplay choreography there. Ah, shit. Damn, would not like to get my head smashed into an anvil. That'll do it. Well, it was always gonna come to this, wasn't it? Oh, that's right. Fucking Ollie kills Ygritte. And even after all the innocent people she just killed, I still feel so fucking bad she's just took an arrow through the heart. You should not have stayed in that cave. One day you would have been having cave sex and then about 100 skeleton men would have ran in there and ripped you both to pieces. Wouldn't have been good. Such a long climb for these wildlings. They must be like, I wonder how the fight's actually going. Are we winning? Are we the only guys left? One of the coolest hidden weapons of all time. Wow. And I don't want to know how ridiculous it is. I mean, who the fuck blacksmithed that bad boy? Do you know what I'm saying? I don't care about any of that. It's just fucking badass. And I believe that once upon a time that shit was made and it works perfectly.
Don't cheer too loud. They still outnumber us 1,000 to 1.
Yeah, it's impressive they even repelled the first attack, but it is nothing like if the full army attacked them.
I should have thrown you from the top of the wall, boy!
Tormund just doesn't give a fuck. There's currently 3 arrows in him. That shit almost killed Jon Snow. Tormund's just moonwalking backwards upstairs while still cussing him out. That's another thing George R.R. Martin is good at writing. Truly pathetic characters. Like, what a pathetic human being that man is. In every single way. He believes he's better than everyone else by showing himself to have the worst qualities imaginable at all points.
You're going to kill him?
I'm gonna try.
They'll never let you within 100 yards of him.
I don't remember Jon going back out to try and assassinate Mance Rayder. Yes, it's sad to see all these guys dead, but they had such a badass one, fighting a giant to the death and protecting the tunnel.
Raise the outer gate, then lower it again as soon as I'm out.
How the fuck does this go? I remember Mance Rayder ends up going back to the wall, but I do not remember Jon going back out to Mance Rayder. And that's a very similar shot to the shot we opened the series with the original Night's Watch patrol going out. Okay, and that was episode 9 of season 4 of Game of Thrones, Watchers on the Wall, and I will be back in just a minute with my thoughts on that. So, Watchers on the Wall, what did I think of that? Man, there's actually less to talk about than I was anticipating, because I thought we were going to get a continuation of Tyrion's trial, etc. But this whole episode was just dedicated to the wildling attack on Castle Black. So a lot of it was set pieces and action and stuff like that, with not much story progression. First of all though, I want to say you can tell this is clearly one of the biggest budget episodes they've had thus far in the show. It shows this is the point where HBO is starting to have more faith in them and they're getting to display large cinematic battles such as this one. The special effects were all brilliantly done, especially the giants and mammoth, which usually I've got such an issue with CGI, but the CGI mammoth looked fine and the enlarged digital giants looked incredible. And there was a little bit of story going on, you know, we had the cowardly King's Landing guy, we had Thorne explaining his actions a little bit and then showing himself to be quite a brave dude when the going gets tough. We had Sam being brave but also worrying about Gilly, and then of course Ygritte was on an absolute revenge mission for Jon, and Tormund and that Fen guy were also in the mix. And it's a brutal end to Ygritte's character. It was a really interesting story when Jon first went north of the wall and got to experience life with the wildlings, and we saw the humanity in them all, especially her. So while in these last few episodes she's been absolutely ruthless, deep down I feel like we were still rooting for her. So yeah, never nice to see a character you're deep down rooting for take an arrow in the back. But if anyone was going to do it, I'm actually not mad it was Ollie, because he saw that exact same group of people pillage and murder his entire village. So yeah, while Ollie might go on to be a dislikable character, I can't be mad at him for shooting one of the wildlings that murdered his parents. Special shout out to the drop the scythe moment. Such a cool hidden weapon, and the way it's displayed and just wipes all the wildlings climbing the wall simultaneously. It's such a cool little moment of action. And shout outs to Jon also. After Thorne gets injured, he jumps down into the main courtyard of Castle Black and basically turns the tide of the battle. But my favourite scene in this entire episode is when Ren and 5 other guys are protecting the tunnel leading into Castle Black, and they have to come up against the giant and they recite their Night's Watch vows just as the giant reaches the gate. I just feel like it's so epic, and you know me, I've already said during these reactions I love things like vows and honour honor and pledging oaths and shit, so for them to hype themselves up by saying those words just before they had to fight to the death, so epic. The Then guy took a hammer to the head, so you know, good news, and Tormund is still alive, so you know, great news. And then to cap it all off, at the end of the episode, Jon's decided to venture back out to try and get to Mance Rayder. And as I said during the episode, I completely forget that he does this, and I just don't know how that's gonna work out for him, but I know in some way it ends with Mance back at Castle Black, because I remember that. But yeah, regardless, I cannot wait to see the finale of this season next week, because usually episode 9 is, you know, the deluxe episode of a season in Game of Thrones, but they've got so many other story arcs that episode 10 is going to basically be equal to 9 this season, because they spent this whole episode wrapping up the Night's Watch stuff. Next episode though, we've got the fallout of Tyrion's trial by combat and Daenerys' story wrap up for this season, so it's just going to be an incredible episode 10, and I will see you guys there next week. If you've liked this video, click like, subscribe to the channel to see more videos like this, ring the bell to be notified as to when they drop. If there's anything you want to talk about, comment down below, and share this around to anyone you think might appreciate it or want to watch these reactions along with us. My Patreon link is down in the description. If you become a patron, you get access to my blog, you get access to these reactions I put on YouTube a month and a half in advance, and you also get access to full-length versions of everything I react to. So consider becoming a patron, it helps me and my channel out so much, and until next time, I have been BA, peace.